Welcome to another week of great achievers who choose to overcome regardless of the challenges life presents. My name is Refiwe Mwilwa and you're watching Bophelong. Alfred Matamela is inspiration personified. Having forged a career in a predominantly white industry, well, he's chosen to not dwell on the difficulties, but to just live happily, spreading and indulging in his need for speed.
You've heard it before. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Alfred Matamela is a testimony to this. Born and bred in Limpopo, the famous instructor, biker, spinner now owns the biggest and the very first biking school in Soweto.
I grew up looking after my uncle's goats and cattle. Even when I had matric, to get jobs were not easy. And then that is where I started thinking of getting into learning to ride a bike. Because whenever you open a newspaper, by the time jobs, jobs, scooter drivers were too many. So fortunately, I met one of my friends who we grew together from rural areas. Who had a friend has got a bike. Then he taught me how to ride. It wasn't too difficult because I used to ride a bicycle on my school times. And then I think within 2 to 3 hours I was on the bike.
King Donut has always known what he wanted to do with his life.
I worked as a scooter driver at the chemist delivering medicines around town, and then from there I left the chemist. I will go and work at the bike shop as a bike mechanic for 2 years. And then from there I left. Then I was employed by a corporate company where as well I was a scooter driver. Regardless my qualifications as got matric, but I insisted to be on the road. I worked about 18 years as a scooter driver, and then till it was just like a calling that no, why can't I open a school to teach other people how easy it is to ride a bike.
King Donut runs the very successful Soweto Riding School. He provides bike riding lessons not only in how to safely ride on public roads of South Africa, but also offers assistance in riders getting their bike learners and full licenses.
How Soweto Motorbike School was started. It was started in 2008. But I started doing it part-time. I used to work from morning till 12. After 12, I used to knock off. And I mean, the boss I used to work for was a biker, a very supportive guy, Richard Olfsen. So he allowed me to work in the morning, afternoon, then I go for training. I used to take my bikes on my bike to work. After work then, yeah, I used to do training. This is the first biking school in Soweto. And then I still wanted to be seen as the best bike instructor in the country. Because now it has already shown, because people I'm training, or most you find out that they are from KZN, Mpumalanga, Northwest, Limpopo. They come to Joburg, staying with relatives and getting training. This is apparently a family company. It's my wife and my two daughters. My two daughters, Fano and Comfort, they're also bikers. The first salary when I started working, I deposited a bike, which is ununderstandable to most of the people, because once you start working, what you have to look at first is to get yourself maybe to buy a bed, a wardrobe, and whatever. But in my case, it wasn't like that. So that is where I discovered that I'm not a biker by choice, but by birth. So my first salary, I deposited a bike, and then I used to travel long distances with that bike. It was a Honda CD200, which I used to ride it from here to Limpopo.
There is no missing King's house. You're welcomed by donuts right in front of his gates.
I learned to spin the bike. and then it was 15 years ago. So from there onwards, I just it just stayed in my blood. For now, I'm called King Donut. King Donut in the biking language is the king of speed. So if you see at my gate here some skid marks, so this is where if I'm coming from the bike event, I finished my tire here and then pushed the bike.
How did King manage to start such a business which needed money and bikes for training?
I approached Yamaha South Africa for sponsorship for bikes, and I was awarded the sponsorship. They gave me these bikes for training, and then it was easy because look, this thing here, you need to have a passion on bikes and patience. So for me, I know I'm running a business, but it's not how fast I make cash. The most important thing is to see one of my products riding, the other riding, and then that is what I'm proud of.
The King says his biking has attracted people from all over the country.
I've trained high-profile people, doctors, nurses, station commissioners, pilots, and 40% of my clients are black ladies. Instead of, because look, this thing used to be the white culture, now it's anybody's culture. So I'm happy about the ladies because these days they don't come to me saying, take me for a ride. They said, no, teach me how to ride.
Alfred is not only known as King of Donuts, but he is also famous for being one of a few Christian bikers.
I'm a Christian biker and very proud of. That is why wherever we go, we are like role models and celebs, because most people, once they see us, they said no, they wanted to be bikers.
Biking may be fun on big roads, but King preaches safety before anything else.
So I'm a highly trained examiner, and personally I've been riding for 30 years and I'm still alive. So, but in the case of that, doesn't mean to stay this long in biking and still alive is all through my experience. Like I've said, I'm a Christian biker. I appeal and tip all my clients that before they ride, they must pray.
Awesome story, Alfred. Stay tuned after the break. We have more on the man who goes by the name King Donut.
Hi, just brushing up on my party. We are going to make it number 12, official. Let me teach you a quick word. Kwaito style, a woman who has mastered the art of dancing in high heels. It's up and flip, huh?
Keep it classy with a bottle of Sky Vodka for $169.99 and help make party South Africa's 12th official language. Tops at Spa. Shake things up.
Catch all these and more every day on Sports Live at 8:30 p.m. on the SABC News Channel.
Prominent names have been mentioned at the Arms Deal Commission, among them Winnie Madikizela Mandela, Tony Blair and Tony Georgiades.
Terry Crawford Brown has been making the loudest noise. From taking the president to the highest court in the land, to grilling witnesses in the first phase of the hearings.
Commissioners have adopted a tough stance with witnesses, compelling them to back up claims and produce evidence.
Do you know those MPs? I know some of them, but really, sir, I would not think it appropriate to disclose their names publicly.
Your World, weekdays at 9 p.m.
Didier Drogba, a footballer from Ivory Coast, was named as the third most influential celebrity in Africa.
Where I saw him display, he's very nice player. He always make an impact.
Drogba donated his $5 million endorsement fee to the construction of a hospital in Abidjan.
Well, there are some lesser-known football stars in the continent that you haven't met.
Really?
And are deserving of more attention.
I think we will do better.
The Journal, every Saturday at 1:30 on SABC News.
Welcome back. You're watching Bophelong, and just in time, if you just joined us, you haven't missed a lot. We're putting the spotlight today on a biker man from Soweto who runs a successful family business called Avashoni Riding School.
This is the bike which makes me so popular in the fraternity. Everybody, once they think of King Donut, they think of this bike. I've been spinning this bike for the past 15 years, and I think this is the strongest Yamaha ever made, because since I bought the bike 15 years ago, it hasn't given me any problem. I've changed the clutch twice, because when you spin, sometimes it damaged the clutch. But besides then, the bike is still in very good riding condition. And then, this is also one of my bikes. It used to be a sponsored bike. It's a sponsored bike from Yamaha Japan in conjunction with Yamaha South Africa. I'm the brand ambassador of Yamaha. When I started school, I approached Yamaha for sponsorship. So they sponsored me with training bikes, and as a brand ambassador, they awarded me with this, so that whenever I do my personal ride, I must be seen representing the brand with this bike. This is actually one of the fastest bikes on the road. It got 6 gears. On first gear, I'm on 150 kilometers per hour. But anyway, look, riding is not all about speeding. So speed kills. And then I ride my own pace, even if maybe I'm riding with the other group. If they decided to exceed the speed we agreed on, then they can I let them go, as long as I know where we are going. So to all my clients during the training, I give them that tip, that riding is not all about speeding, and alcohol and booze, alcohol and speed and bike do not mix.
It's not about the fun, the rallies and speed, but it's also about training people who really want to ride.
Front brake light, uzocheka. Foot brake light, uzocheka. From there, you will check the licensing disc. It's so easy to ride a bike as long as one knows how to ride a bicycle. And that is the first requirements if one comes into the school.
Through this driving school, a lot of people, young and old, are getting jobs.
I try to uplift some other youngsters who are not working, maybe the family in poor financial state. And then I've done to the 2 people training from scratch. They get licenses, and then from there get them some jobs. They are working now as we speak.
Thabo Mokoena of Yamaha explains the working relationship between the company and King Donut.
We basically were lacking in terms of people, the black people that were riding quite a lot. So when we saw the Soweto Motorbike School, we actually wanted to partnership with them and say this was a perfect opportunity for them and us to be able to form a relationship going forward. And number one, we didn't have as many black riders as we used to have in the past. So now, with Alfred being on board currently, that number has actually increased. And it helps us in terms of selling our sales in our bikes and introducing Yamaha to the brand. And if you remember, Yamaha in the 80s used to be well known. Now, it sort of died in the middle, and then now it's back again. So people can actually identify themselves with the brand Yamaha.
King is definitely known all over for his good teaching techniques and patience.
Looking where he started from, he started off as a messenger and built himself up, and he had the passion for it, which is nice about it. That's where he got where he is currently. He had the passion to do it, and he had the skill and the knowledge to actually do it. When he formed the driving school, I think nobody could actually doubt him to say that he's the right man for what he's doing now. And everybody went for him, and because he's obviously popular and he works with a lot of people, he worked with a lot of youngsters, trained them up. I myself was trained by Alfred. I got my license through him. He taught me how to ride. He taught me how to look for certain things in terms of turning quickly in traffic. Sometimes we get into ourselves in certain situations where you can't get up. He teaches all the kind of skills.
There are 5 things of bike check. So you will just say both tires are in good condition, front forks not leaking, mirrors not cracked, no obstruction underneath the bike. Then when you go on the bike, put your hand here and 2 fingers on the front brakes. It's to mount the bike not to roll. Yep. You do like this here. Step on the bike. So step back. Now you do the on bike check, which you will have to say kill switch is on, fuel valve is on, choke they're not using it. Yeah. From there you turn the key on and mention that the bike is on neutral.
Yamaha couldn't have chosen a better ambassador. If you're keen to start riding, why not contact Alfred? I'm sure he'll be more than happy to take you on. There's more after the break. Stay with us. This is Bophelong.
These are the stories that wake us up and keep us going. To countries where terrorism still lives. Stories that bring us closer to the conflicts and policies of the other side of the world. And the lighter side of the motherland's beauty. Its people, their journeys, beliefs, and cultures. People who believe in doing it for themselves, who strive and believe in our country, and in challenging themselves because of a need to grow. This is SABC News.
Let us go to this dolus issue, dolus eventualis and dolus director. What do they actually mean to the ordinary man in the street?
A practical and easy example of dolus eventualis is where 2 robbers walk into a bank with the intention to rob the bank. They reconcile themselves that should the teller press the panic button, they are going to pull a trigger and kill. So the intention is not to kill, but the intention is basically to rob the bank.
That's Rights and Recourse, Sundays 2 p.m. on SABC News.
Hello again. Biking is actually not like riding a bicycle. It's a little bit more complex than that. Let's watch how King give Nonku some lessons, and also we get to learn more about Alfred through the eyes of one of his former students.
We've seen him teach regular bikers who need licenses. Now we get to see him teach a first-time lady biker.
Pull and hold. Okay. Now, when you pull off the bike, you have to pull off the first thing, the one by clutch. Then, this gear down. This will come on the floor. Everything come with the strap, Yes. So, this is hamba when I'm just down. Brake, my hamba, brake, headband. Coming up the hand. Brake will come in. Okay.
It may look easy, but practice takes time.
My first experience, it's very nerve-wracking. I mean, the only other time I've been on a bike was as a passenger. So it's very scary. I mean, you literally want to hold on for dear life. But the King is very, very reassuring, He's right there with you all the time, making sure that you don't fall. So, which helps with the relaxation. I've always been attracted to bikes, but like I said, I've always been just a passenger. A lot of my friends are riders, and I've just kind of decided that it's time.
King's current students and past students all praise him for his patience when teaching.
On a daily basis, they'll preach one thing over and over: safety, safety, and safety. And that's the most important thing, riding.
In the biking world, everybody knows King. It's ridiculous. My personal instructor is also a rider. So I spoke to him. I said, listen, this is what I want to do. And he said, you should go to King. He's really the best and everything like that. We also have a family friend who also just learned how to ride with King. So he also gave me King's number. And other friends, if you ask around, do you know King? King, yeah, we know King. He's the best in the business. If you really want to learn how to ride and you don't want to fall, go to King.
I had a passion of riding, and I didn't know where to go and learn the riding skills. I decided to go and do the search on the internet, where about 3 or 4 names came through,
of which King was on top because he was only specializing on the biking. And then the rest were just like they'll do the cars, and then the biking on the other side is an extra. And then I gave him a call just to try to inquire, and then he said to me, no problem, you can come to Kingville or to Rand Stadium. Of which I went in there. I was impressed the first time when I saw the other learners, what they were doing. I said, no, can I book? He said, at any time. And then I went in there, did my lessons, and then I went for the learners, I went for rider's license. And surprisingly enough, I got my license the first time.
Delivery man turned driving instructor, motorbike school owner, president of Soweto Pathfinders Motorcycle Club, and brand ambassador for Yamaha. There's definitely no stopping the King of Donut.
2 wheels move the souls, 4 wheels move the body. So the feeling on this thing, you can't describe it unless you are on top of the bike. I think those who are bikers these days, they can explain, and people who are not in biking, they don't know what they are missing. So there is life in biking. And besides that, regardless color, race or gender, bikers one another. So the friendship and brotherhood is so solid that we regard ourselves as families. To be successful is not determined from where you grew up from. I mean, I'm now leaving my legacy to have produced lots of riders in this country. So since I started school, plus or minus, I've trained about 3,000 people. I have contributed to the economy of this country because once I've trained people, they go and get bikes. And by that, so the economy of the countries grow. So I've contributed a lot, which, like I've said, I'm leaving my legacy.
It looks like Nonku had so much fun. In the words of Alfred Matamela, you heard him say, there is life in biking. Thank you to Nonku, TK, and last but not least, of course, Mr. Alfred King Donut himself. Email us on bophelong@sabc.co.za and share any thoughts or suggestions or even stories that you might have that we could profile here in future. From me, Rufilwe, till next time, it's a wrap. Goodbye.
Let us go to this dollars issue, dollars eventualis and dollars director. What do they actually mean to the ordinary man in the street?
A practical and easy example of dolus eventualis is where two robbers walk into a bank with the intention to rob the bank. They reconcile themselves that should the teller press the panic button, they are going to pull a trigger and kill. So the intention is not to kill, but the intention is basically to rob the bank.
That's Rights and Recourse, Sundays 2 p.m. on SABC News.
What time is it? It's question time.
Is there enough political will? Perhaps you should ask the question whether is there enough technical will? Are African countries opening the markets for each other? They are, but they are saddled with infrastructure deficits. What needs to happen?
The delivery is an issue. We need to understand why are we spending these huge sums of money and the actual core asset that we need is never delivered on time and on budget.
Are you not happy?
We are not happy.
You cannot blame the ANC for making noise about Moses Kotane and JB Marks.
Oh, we are not blaming the ANC per se. We do not believe that this program and this process is transparent, is fair, is balanced.
What is the PAC doing about Potlakole Ballo, Nyati Pokela, and all those others?
Yeah, they are spread throughout Africa. Huh?
Yes.
They are there. Are they waiting for the noise, for the PAC to make noise?
Watch Question Time with me, Mpho Tsedu, Monday to Thursday at 5:30 p.m. on the SABC News channel.
Welcome to AM News here on SABC News Channel 404.
The people who also should be concerned are the people who voted for people of that ilk.
South Africa is indeed a unique country. And South Africa has a democracy that is very exceptional.
If people want to change the rules, do it properly, do it within the context of the Rules Committee within Parliament. And when you shout, it doesn't mean people are listening to you.
But there is a point of authority that must always prevail.
The ANC is very determined. We will not allow South Africa's Parliament to be dragged down into the mud. And we will defend the Constitution and Parliament.
I think our country is really being torn to pieces. And I think that the struggle for liberation didn't take place for people to play the fool like this in our country.
That's AM News, daily at 10 a.m. on SABC News.
These are the stories that wake us up and keep us going. To countries where terrorism still lives. Stories that bring us closer to the conflicts. And policies of the other side of the world. And the lighter side of the motherland's beauty. Its people, their journeys, beliefs, and cultures. People who believe in doing it for themselves, who strive and believe in our country, and in challenging themselves because of a need to grow. This is SABC News.
It's 6 o'clock Central African time. Hello and welcome to SABC News Prime Time. I'm Natasha Thorpe. Let's take a look at what's coming up in your headlines. A 7.9 magnitude earthquake strikes Nepal, killing over 800 people. And after weeks of xenophobic attacks, foreign nationals opt to return to the communities they fled.
And they shut the Lions, Archie and the Cheetahs. Creole, Elton Yankees, Temple and Bird.
And the Lions and the Cheetahs battle it out in Johannesburg in the first of two local Super Rugby games. More than 800 people are now confirmed killed in a powerful earthquake that struck Nepal. Many more are trapped under rubble.